It's safe to say that Persona fans have been and will be eating good in 2023 as Sega has decided to reveal a bunch of brand new Persona projects. Not just Persona 3 Reload but also Persona 5 Tactica, but previously earlier in the year we got a first glance look at Persona 5 The Phantom X. This is essentially a spin-off mobile game out of China. So essentially it's being developed by Perfect World RPG. This is not being developed in-house by Atlas. They are too busy working presumably on multiple different projects, some of which we got to see earlier in the pseudo non-E3 2023 showcases. So originally when we got a few details for Persona 5 The Phantom X back in February or March when it was originally revealed, was that it was set to release later in 2023 this year, specifically for Chinese markets. We didn't necessarily get a confirmation that it would be coming to Japan until maybe early 2024, and to the West maybe much later than that, but not many details arose at the time of reveal. Now we actually got a brand new trailer. That is essentially what you're looking at here, a little bit of an overview trailer that they shared at TAP 2023. This is a digital presentation that took place in Japan and in China earlier today, essentially of the time of this recording, July 8th, but presumably you guys are watching this video much later than that since the algorithm is a little bit wonky when it comes to YouTube. But essentially this is some sort of like mobile Nintendo Direct type presentation. Obviously it has nothing to do with Nintendo, but it's the same idea, right? PlayStation Showcase, Nintendo Direct, Xbox presentations, they all have something that they showcase. This is a mobile version of that for plenty of Japanese and Chinese published titles. Games of high profile that are gonna get a lot of say or a lot of play in the gaming sphere outside of here in North America, usually end up getting presented in these type of presentations. And alongside that, not only do we get to see plenty of brand new gameplay, a couple of brand new screenshots, and a couple of brand new pretty much like I guess cutscene related situations that we do get to see. There's a couple of details added there within as well. I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for the link of the original trailer, but also a 4gamer.net very quick article where they essentially showcase and provided more details, where they do confirm that a lot of the gameplay takes direct reference from Persona 5. There's not going to be a lot of difference. So if you haven't been playing Persona 5 or even Royale, you should be relatively familiar as to what to expect here. A lot of the framework and experience is going to be based off of what that game provided. Players will live the dual life between spending the real time in the real world and then roaming in the metaverse. So of course, once again, if you've played Persona 5, you already kind of know what to expect, where you have segmented off areas in the castles, for example. They're not calling them that here, but they are going to be calling them something a little bit different. They haven't necessarily revealed that just yet. But you do have your daily life type of a situation. There will be no calendar. That's one of the things that they also mentioned here, is that you're kind of like free to roam and do whatever it is that you want, but you're not limited by a calendar type of sequenced setup like you did in Persona 5. They also mentioned that a lot of the same locations and even activities in the overworld that you saw in the original Persona 5 and Royale will also be making their way. Different districts like Shibuya, Yonge-Yaga, and plenty of other places will be able to be visited. You'll also have access to many of the mini games you saw in Persona 5, like the batting, the fishing, and plenty of other ones as well. You'll be able to read books and things of that nature. Nothing in that regard has changed. One of the things that they do specifically mention is that you can actually visit the official protagonist's home. So this time around, because the protagonist is different, it's not Joker, it's not any of the original characters, you have a completely different cast. You're not bound to the actual cafe, so you don't have to go back. You can actually do things in a different setup. They also do specifically touch about the combat very lightly, but they also showcase a couple of clips right there that you should have been able to see in the trailer. But they talk about that the game combat systems have already also been like upgraded although they also feature the same things like the more kind of extra attacks whenever you're attacking a weakness. The baton passes are also available. You also have access to gun attacks, and of course the all-out attacks. And in this trailer you do get to see a couple of those all-out attacks, like images, essentially when they do the little flash card, the finish card, whenever you finish up an enemy with one of those all-out attacks triggered by one specific character. You do get to see that in this trailer as well. Now, the last thing that the 4Gamer article does specifically mention is probably the thing that is going to turn a lot of people away from this game, and that is, of course, the gacha mechanics. Mobile games cannot live and they cannot coexist with just normal games because for whatever reason they have free-to-play mechanics and pay-to-win tactics essentially with gacha. So they do specifically mention that in order for you to be obtaining characters, it will be through the gacha system. They expect characters to be obtained in this fashion, but you're not actually obtaining the character themselves because the characters are tied to the story. You're obtaining a cognitive manifestation of the character. So you are basically getting 3-star, 4-star, 5 stars, double S stars, triple S, triple rank type thing. That same gacha stuff that you've seen in previous mobile games already. You're not actually getting the character, you're getting a representation of the character, and depending on the gacha system and the roles that you get, that is how powerful they're going to be. So in typical fashion, they're ruining games because of just greediness, and just instead of just charging you for a specific price. I've always railed against mobile games for that specific reason. I guess mobile gamers don't want to pay 20-30 bucks for an actual game and just be able to have full access to it. They just want to be able to play it for free and get nickeled and dimed in every step of the way. But that's not here nor there. They also mentioned that the game doesn't necessarily follow the calendar system, which I mentioned at the top of the video, and you do have the free time sequences that you did have before in Persona 5, but this time the protagonist actually has a little bit of an hourglass situation going on where depending upon what kind of things you do and throughout the day, you don't necessarily have full access to others. Now, this is something that in the previous game was already featured, but this time around, while they're not necessarily gating you off of the calendar, they do gate you off that you may be able to, like, for example, go to the batting cages one day, but maybe you're not allowed to read a book that day. So you have a choice to do one thing or another, race a certain stat here or race another stat there, but you cannot do both, although technically you should be able to. But since the game is ongoing, presumably you will be able to cycle back to that situation and be able to get those stats raised in another format, or maybe roll for those stat boosts or whatever the case is. But that's about all the information that I have for you guys today regarding the latest details that we have for Persona 5 The Phantom X, which is once again set to release later this year, at the very least in China and presumably in Japan for mobile devices. We don't necessarily have any confirmation when it will be dropping here in North America or in Europe for that matter. So once again, link in the description below for the 4Gamer article, and also link in the description below for the TapTap.cn channel. This is the Chinese TapTap digital stream that they had, where they showcased plenty of mobile games that honestly, some of them look really cool. They look really interesting, but the fact that they're mobile games and they're full of gacha stuff turns me away instantly. So for me, I'm not the audience for that, but I know a lot of players are. If you're brand new to my channel though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.